to feature for you now, commonly referred to in the press as Mr. Two-Fingered Freddie Mercury, using all 10 fingers tonight. This one's called The Seven Seas of Rhye.
When it comes to some of my favorite albums from Queen, this album has to be my top 3, and that album is Queen II. Released in 1974, this is the band at their most proggiest, but you still have elements of glam rock, art rock, hard rock, and so much more. This all comes down to the fact they had a lot more freedom in the studio to do whatever they wanted, and it definitely showed. And just recently, they came out with a brand new remix. And in this video, I went ahead and I bought the box set, and we're gonna go ahead and take it out of the packaging and let's take a closer look at what's included. If you're a Queen fan, and especially a fan of Queen II, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. Bryer's Music Showcase is brought to you by the people over at Patreon. Pledge today and get access to exclusive perks. Link in the description. Welcome to Bryer's Music Showcase. I'm Bryer Cisneros and welcome back to another video. So, it feels like it hasn't been that long ago when I unboxed and did a whole trilogy of videos on this, the Queen I remix, and here we are. This is part 2 of a brand new trilogy, I guess, because literally not long after, they're here once again. We have a remix version of Queen II. As I said in the intro, Queen II is one of my favorite Queen albums. It's definitely in the top 3. It always changes where exactly in the top 3, but it's either 3 or 2. And this album definitely means a lot to me. When I heard about they're going to do a remix, of course I'm going to be a little apprehensive because, again, I really love this album a lot. But it was interesting getting this because if you remember in part 1 of this trilogy, I showed the price in that video, and it definitely was it was pretty high. But thanks to some of you in the comments, you let me know that you can actually get this box set way cheaper there than you do on the official Queen website. I actually got this $75 less than what they offer on the official website. I don't know what that tells you, but I'm cheap, so I went with the cheaper option. That's why it's in an Amazon box. Alright, well, there's not much else to say here, but we're just going to go ahead, take it out of the box, and let's see what's included in here. And even though there's already videos talking about this, from what I've gathered, I feel like people have been a bit more positive on the remix. I have not heard anything. I waited just until this came in, but I know when I listened to the Seven Seas of Rhye video they put out leading up to this, and I will say, based on that Seven Seas of Rhye version, I have pretty high hopes for this remix. I don't think it'll be as controversial as what they did with Queen I. I think it should be a bit more well received overall. Anyway, I'm just stalling at this point. Let's just get to the unboxing part, the part of the video you're here for. Okay, so we have the box cutter here, and let's just dive right into this. And as you can see right now, we have multiple cams set up for this monumentous occasion. I don't know how often I'll do this, but when the time calls for it. So let's just cut that right there. Oh, we got a box within a box. And here it is. So let me just move this out of the way. Let's put that there. All right, so it looks pretty well packaged. So let's just cut the tape onto the sides here. And I don't think I cut it right, but it should be all right. This is a very interesting box. Okay, after all that struggle, I think we're ready to unveil. So we're just going to open up the flaps here and let's see what it looks like. In 3, 2, 1. Whoa, look at that. Right out of the gate, it just gives you the album artwork, which is something I will give I will give this version, this box set, this, because I know with the Queen 1 box set, it didn't come with the cover art on top. It just had the logo and that's it. So right out of the gate, the presentation looks pretty good. Looks pretty promising. Might be learning from the first time, I guess. So we got the hype sticker right there. Tells you everything what's included, which again we'll talk more about when we actually get inside here. I don't know if I showed this camera right here, but there you go. So let me just go ahead and move all this stuff down there. And let's move on and let's remove the shrink wrap. All right, so again, I'm gonna try and do this carefully as possible. Just gonna make one little incision right there. At least this is coming off pretty easily. Okay, not as easy as I thought, but okay. Gotta be careful. We do want to try and save that hype sticker, like most collectors do. All right, hype sticker is cleared. And then of course this is just comes right off. There it is. Again, just the original artwork. Because I do have my 2011 remaster. I'm just curious how they compare. Right out of the gate, the only big difference is obviously this is much larger, much more in kind of more close up. This one's a bit more further back. That's one of the big things I noticed. But the Queen logo looks pretty similar. And then, of course, this one has the Hollywood record logo right there. And also, this is more black than this one, because you can definitely see the more backlighting here. Kind of interesting. I guess I want to point that out. So we'll put that aside. Maybe we'll bring that out later. And just take out the rest. I'll put the hype sticker over there for now for safety. And then on the back, yep, just like in the Queen 1, you got this little back sheet, which again tells you everything that's included on this, plus this little excerpt right here. And what we'll do, let's go ahead. We'll kind of read this out real quick. This 7-disc collector's edition features a brand new 2026 mix of the original Queen II album on CD as well as white and black vinyl. 16 alternative and previously unreleased recordings include demos, original studio sessions, outtakes, and banter. A 2026 mix of the non-album B-sides, See What a Fool I've Been, and a never previously heard Queen version of the Smile song, Not For Sale. Parentheses Polar Bear. Brand new Queen II backing tracks, 12 tracks from BBC Radio, including sessions recorded between 1973 and 1974, and a live performance from Golders Green Hippodrome in 1973, the band's historic first concert broadcast. A new collection of 8 live performances of Queen II songs from the Rainbow Theatre 1974 and Hammersmith Odeon 1975, which, you know, those are the only things that aren't really new because those things have been available for a while. But, you know, it is what it is. But that's what it says on the back here. Let me just move that to the side as well. Of course, we'll save these two. I'll put these over here for now. Well, right out the gate, you have the Queen II logo right here. And big difference between these two, that one's clearly in purple and the other one is in black. And this is one thing I've been wanting to do. I just want to quickly lower them side by side here. And that's interesting because I'll put up like a more closer shot here. But if you notice, the Queen II box set is actually taller than the Queen 1, which I actually thought it was going to be the other way around. I think maybe because this is taller, because one, you have the book. But second, this one has 2 vinyl in here. So maybe that extra vinyl has kind of made it a bit taller. That's my guess at least. Because there's not quite as much in here as there is in the Queen 1. At least to me at least. But that's kind of an interesting little thing. I was always thinking about that. Alright, so let's go ahead and flip it over. I think the time is right to actually look inside and let's take a closer look at here. So here we go. Let's slip it off like this. Comes off pretty cleanly, I must say. And also this feels pretty much like the Queen 1, has a similar texture, so there's not much difference there. And right out of the gate, we have the first vinyl here. And it's interesting how it starts out with the gatefold image. And you can see the Queen II. It's hard to see, but you can see the Queen logo right there. But it's hard to see, but if you feel for it, it's there. So here it is. First vinyl. Obviously, this is the white one. So this has to be side 1 then, because this should be side white. It looks like it to me. Yep, this is Procession, Spot of the Sun, White Queen, Someday, One Day, and Loser in the End. So there you go. And of course, since this is one-sided vinyl, the back has nothing but a very faint hue for Queen. So, all right, pretty cool. Looks pretty nice. This is actually my first ever white vinyl in my collection. So let me just slip that in. There's nothing inside the sleeve, by the way. So there. And then here's the actual album cover. And interesting, the Queen logo is all in black, which is interesting. Kind of an interesting choice. So let's see. So this one has a black inner sleeve, because this is side black, of course. Let me just take a look at that real quick. I mean, it's black vinyl, so there's not much to it. Up there is a little piece, little plastic piece on the record there. So didn't come fully unscathed while it was being made, but hopefully that's easy to clean off. But again, there it is right there. I'm not going to mess with it right now. Probably we'll clean that, like I said, probably after I'm done with this. But again, nothing inside, not even liner notes, which is kind of interesting. So put that there too. And now here we go. This is every CD collector, what they came for. This is the CDs right here in this sleeve. Same folder as they did with Queen I. Just gonna probably move this out of the way. Don't want to drop that. Put that over here. All right, and let's go ahead and open it up. And yep, this is what it looks like on the inside. So again, just like the Queen I, they all come in their individual sleeves and individual pouch. So right here for the actual 2025 remix, 2026 remix, sorry. This is, it just has the album artwork, but interesting, it's pushed up for some reason. Again, interesting choice. But I guess because they wanted to match with this, so when you put it in, it's like, you never took it out. Yeah, a little funny. Then we have, which one's disc 2? Here it is. Disc 2, this is the Session disc, and this one just has a picture of Freddie right there. And then it gives you a little bit more info on each one. Disc 3, the ever beloved backing tracks, which I have no use for. Sorry if you're into those things. And then we have the BBC stuff. Here they use John's face. Pretty good. And then here's Roger Taylor on the live material on here, which is interesting. Let me see what the discs actually look like. This one's just the standard black cover. And then are all of them also? So far, it looks like they are. And then, I'm just kidding, you never know. Yeah, I'm pretty confident these are all the same disc, but just with different prints. There we go. And then, what color is this one, I wonder? Why, of course, it is just your standard black. Anyway, all right, not much else to add, but there you go. That's the disc portion. And then moving along, next up we have these kind of poster cards, or whatever these are called. And this is also going to be pretty brief, because I've said this before in the past, but I never know what you actually do with these kind of cards or whatever. I'm assuming you would just frame them or you hang them on your wall. But there's not much else to add. I mean, it's just the individual photos of each band member. So of course here's Freddie, and then as we'll take them all out. And then we have Brian, which it's funny in this photo, it just looks like a disembodied head. But again, that just comes down to where he was in the formation. Then Roger's kind of a similar story. Again, it just looks like he's just a floating head. And then John, of course. So again, not much to say. Again, I know the Queen II cover art is very iconic, given how it was used in the Bohemian Rhapsody video. But is there really no other artwork they could have chosen? Like maybe some more photos of live stuff around this time would have been nice. But again, just kind of thinking out loud. So let me just quickly put these all back inside. And then we have probably one of the reasons why this box set can be expensive, and that is the hardcover book, which we have right here. Let's lay this here. And let's just quickly go through some of the pages. I'm not going to go through the entire book right now. I'm just going to kind of skim through. You can pause in between each page. But it should be in a similar format, again, from the Queen I box set. So you open it up. Again, you got a pretty nice photo. And then you have Brian and Roger saying a quick thing about Queen II. You can read that if you wish. And then you have some more information. No, this is not John Deacon. As you can see, this is John Peel for the BBC Radio, and of course written by Freddie. And then you have a lot of these photographs, some stills from photo shoots, some live shots, of course, and more of the photo shoots that they did for the album. You have all the different lyrics, more band shots from different colors. Oh, this is interesting. All the different shots they got for the album cover. Like you can see all the different variations they did for the cover. Hopefully you can see that. But that's kind of cool. That's pretty neat. And of course, the Freddie pose is inspired by Marlene Dietrich, the actress. Similar pose. But that's cool. That's kind of, I don't know if you can see that one, but that's kind of a creepy little smile there from Freddie. Then some more posters that they had during the time, which is Queen and Nuts. What the hell? But there you go. Again, just a quick overview of everything. But yeah, that's basically the book. And that's pretty much everything you get in here. I've said this before, but I feel like the one thing that's missing would have been a poster. I think a poster would have been nice to include in here. The Queen I box set had a poster, so why not have another one here? I mean, granted, what could they have used? I mean, heck, they could have used the album artwork yet again, but still, a poster would have been nice. You know, I could put it on my wall, that whole thing, kind of decorate my background some more. But, you know, you get what you get. But let me just quickly close this back up, put it all together, and then we'll go ahead. I'll give a brief kind of my final thoughts on just the box itself and just real quick on what's included. Okay, so just to give a lasting final thoughts on everything I've seen on this box set, just in presentation wise, I think again it's pretty solid. I do like some of the stuff they have here, but if I'm going to be honest, I feel like of these two, I feel like this one, I think it's a bit more worth the price, and because one, you got a poster, but again, the whole hype on the Queen I remix was pretty. A lot of Queen fans were definitely talking about it, and just that alone, especially some of the more exclusive stuff, like you have some very early recordings from the band on here, which is something you don't really hear. And I like in the book, because you get to see more of their formation and more of the very early stuff. So I think, especially for me, for someone who loves learning about Queen's history, I think you get more out of this than you do with the Queen II. Because by this point, you know, Queen II, again, like I said in the beginning, they had more freedom. Everything's a bit more well documented on what was going on at the time. So there's not much like never before heard material that we had in the Queen 1. But that all said, again, everything is still very nicely done. Everything still feels good. It looks pretty nice, aside from that little speck of plastic I saw on the vinyl there earlier, which is something you always want to be aware of. But again, the lack of a poster, and again, like I said, some of the Rainbow and Hammersmith Odeon stuff is not new. But granted, there was some similar stuff happening on the Queen 1 box set, but I can forgive that one a little bit. This one, maybe if they had like another like live show that they had around this time, that would have been nice. I don't know if they have any. I kind of doubt it, but still, something else would have been cool to make this a bit more worth it. So again, you're really getting this because of the remix and, you know, the book, really. So that's really what I think. I think I am a little bit disappointed in this one than I am with the Queen 1. Well, that only just leaves us with one more thing to think about. What am I going to think about the audio side of this box set? What do I think of the remix, the live stuff, the BBC stuff, the backing tracks? Well, we're going to have to wait for another time. I don't know how long, because I need some time to actually listen to everything and digest it all and write notes. Because once I'm done with that, I'm going to do another video to conclude this trilogy, where I talk about all the audio stuff and all the interesting things I noticed with the remix and other stuff like that. And it should be an interesting discussion. So if you don't want to miss that, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the upload. And if you enjoyed this unboxing video, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment below, did you already got your hands on this, and what are your thoughts on it so far? And what do you think of all the things that's included on this? Are you disappointed like I kind of am, or are you excited? Did you think this was a good packaging? So that's all I'll say for now. Again, I'll catch you next time. Take care and goodbye for now.